Young people are starting to smoke.
The smoking rates have generally gone down in young people over the last several years, over the last 20 or 30 years. We are greatly concerned, though, that in the last 5 years or so, the smoking rate appears to have leveled off in adolescence.
Tobacco interests won't want to hear that, but Dr. Davis says the decline in smoking can be attributed to health concerns, and it's becoming more and more socially unacceptable. This is WPTF News.
Could you please hand me that TV Guide fall preview?
Yeah, sure. My pleasure.
Oh, it will be, if you buy one. It's one of the few things that really does what it promises. See, it's got the new series, new stars.
You must be into television,
No,
huh?
just the good things.
Well, I guess a girl like you can afford to be pretty selective, huh?
So can you. Take a look. Pick any night of the week.
Hey, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
What's on for you some Saturday, huh?
Saturday's my poker night.
Oh.
TV Guide's fall preview. Pick one up today.
Dear Flintstones kids. Look, Dad, this one's bones are even bigger.
That's Tyrannosaurus Rex.
How big do you suppose my bones will get?
A lot closer to my size, if you keep eating right and taking your Flintstones vitamins.
Flintstones will help me grow?
Sure, with vitamins like A and D, even calcium. Now, dinosaurs ate plants and lizards.
Ew, no wonder they're extinct. Dear Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing.
WPTF News Time is 9 minutes now past 8 o'clock. Time to check in with staff meteorologist Chris Thompson with the exclusive 4-day forecast.
Variable cloudiness through the afternoon with scattered showers and thunderstorms developing. Temperatures will hold in the mid to upper 80s. Partly cloudy tonight with a few showers, low in the low 70s. Mixed clouds and sunshine for Saturday with afternoon showers and thunderstorms likely once again, mid to upper 80s for the high. Partly cloudy Saturday night, showers are possible, low around 72 degrees. Sunday will bring cloudy skies and the threat of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. The high will be in the mid 80s. Then look for showers and thunderstorms to taper off Monday as temperatures peak in the low 80s. With the WPTF 4-day forecast, I'm meteorologist Chris Thompson.
And in the Triangle, we now have 81 degrees. Keep in touch with 680 WPTF for news, weather, and metro traffic. I'm Jimmy Lawrence, WPTF News.
It's time for the Alan Handelman Show. That nightly visit packed with special subjects, special guests, and all kinds of surprises. You can become a part of tonight's show by calling locally 860-9783. 860-9783. Outside the Raleigh area, it's toll-free. 1-800-662-7979. That's 1-800-662-7979. Now, here's Alan.
I'm so glad you're with us tonight, folks. Absolutely. We have a wonderful program. As you can hear, I don't know if I hear what we hear in the earphones right now, but we hear some technical difficulties, which is only natural. We are in the process of moving. As a matter of fact, as I'm talking to you, the movers are here. There's boxes half open, and the garbage people are here taking everything out. We have the staff here making sure the records and the tapes are going to be properly handled. I think there's one cassette player left, and that's what we're going to be making a copy tonight on the program. We have our reel-to-reels in our full studio where Tom Avery is, and we have great guests in the studio, distinguished guests, friends for many years, Charles Stiegel, Tony Rigsby, Dick Stork, and Johnny Hood, and we have a lot of others coming in. We hope to have calls from J.C. Knowles and from many of our friends. We have recorded messages from Gary and Wally and from Bart Rittner and Mario Dell. So first of all, let's go around. Hi, Charles. Nice to have you. I think it's the second time in my career that you were on my program.
Well, I'm very pleased to be here because there's a lot of excitement here, Alan.
He's program director of WPTF, so you know who he is for starters.
This has been an amazing day. The movers have come in. We've all packed our boxes, and they've been running up and down the halls, cleaning out our location here on South Salisbury Street. We're going to a new home tonight.
And you know, as a matter of fact, it's not just a new home. Radio stations move all the time. I've been through this once before, but we're moving to a facility that is super. I have seen stations around the country. Whenever I go to the Big Apple or on the West Coast, the giant stations, we're moving into something that is comparable, and we have the state-of-the-art, the 1987 equipment. And let's move right down the line here. Dick Stark, probably, Dick, you can help me out with the equipment end of it and tell everybody, since you're production manager, You handle the equipment. You know the stereo sound effects. You know our library. What are we looking forward to in the new building?
Well, we're looking forward to a couple of totally new consoles. We're using Pacific Recorders and Electronics consoles, which are kind of brand new, state-of-the-art, has all sorts of special things, little remote controls that remote control all the devices around you, the tape recorders and the turntables. We don't really use turntables that much anymore.
That's true.
We do have a couple of turntables for certain shows like Tom Kearney's Our Best to You, and of course Night Song with Tom Avery. They'll use turntables occasionally.
I use one.
Johnny Hood uses it.
You use one. Okay,
Yes,
one record
every morning. One record every morning.
One record. As a matter of fact, I came in this morning, Alan.
Just Johnny Hood. If we don't have to tell you with that voice, I think you know right away.
I came in this morning to do the Early Bird Hour, and of course, part of the Early Bird Hour is a devotional selection. That's been going on. Charles, you'll have to help me out. I don't know.
Well, let's choose 1924.
I think that would be close enough. 1924 to the present time, and I thought this morning we were not going to have a devotional selection. I had the record in hand. Alan, I walked into the studio and I opened up the cabinet that has the turntables underneath, and there were two great big holes. Reminded me of Granny's outhouse.
Is that
No turntables. No turntables, and I said, what am I going to do?
We are really operating on just a skeleton and a little bunch of equipment.
So I went down the hall and put it onto tape and was able to get it on in time. It worked. It was close.
And you've been playing the record all these years, the actual...
Yeah, going right to the record. And we've got religious albums that we have fused. Some of the albums go back into, well, when the 33 1/3 first came out.
I want to talk to you more about that, because there's a lot of things about Johnny Hood you may not be aware of, because you're used to hearing him in the morning and in the farm hour, and he does what he does so well, but he also has other interests. We'll get back to that. Tony Rigsby's here, and I want to talk to him. But, Dick, just to go back to you for a second with the equipment, for people listening, what will they notice a difference? I know we have CD players now. When we do play music, we're going to have full fidelity stereo. So what will the listeners notice on their radio?
I think, first of all, they'll hear a happier crew, for one thing. These facilities here, probably when they were first occupied back in 1967, were probably pretty fancy for its day. Mm-hmm. And as the years went on, we tried to keep up. We built new studios, new control rooms within our existing confines. We originally occupied only about a quarter of this building at 410 South Salisbury Street, and that was the front second floor, closest to Salisbury Street. The back part, when I first came here, was CP&L. And downstairs, where WPTF TV's television studio and control room is at this point until they moved this weekend, that used to be CP&L's computer room. And so whenever you got a light bill, a power bill, it came from our building, friends.
We didn't admit it, though.
We used to joke about that. What if people find out? Are we in trouble?
Yes.
And at that time, the TV station wasn't in existence. It was just a...
it was Channel 28, and Tony and I worked there.
And in the same building?
No. WRDU TV.
Triangle
Telecasters.
Tony Rigsby's here, and thank you for staying after a long day.
My
and also
pleasure, Alan.
everybody here.
I have a lot of memories of this building, going back to 1970 when I was in high school, the first time I visited here. And this building persuaded me that I wanted to get into broadcasting.
Was it really? Up until that point, it was just a little interest? Or?
Well, no, I'd always liked radio, but the other radio stations that I'd visited were rinky-dink, and I didn't like them. And, of course, PTF was always my favorite station growing up. And when I visited here in high school and saw this building, I decided then I want to be in radio, and more specifically, as Charles can tell you, I want to work at PTF because I tried to get Charles to hire me for years and years and years before I actually came here.
I did the same thing with Graham Pointer, Charles' predecessor, across the street in what is now the Wake County office building. But WPTF had its studios over there at that time, and they had a huge auditorium studio with a stage and a pipe organ, and it was really something quite plush over there.
And Charles, of course, worked in that building.
Yes, and that studio floated.
No.
Over the years, you've had various positions. You're in management. No, Charles, I'm going back to you for a second. You at the time, that Tony was looking for a job. Were you program director at WPTF?
Yes.
Wow. So it's been very interesting.
So that's been back there.
And Tom Kearney just walked in. Of course, you had other responsibilities with our network and different things that we tried throughout the years.
And the studio floated.
And the studio floated.
Yes.
For sound, you couldn't hear sound from outside. NBC in New York, in their Rainbow Studios in Rockefeller Center, also, they floated like Studio 8H, the famous big studio where Toscanini conducted the NBC Symphony. That was a floating studio, floating, as it were, on rubber shock absorbers type of thing, so that you wouldn't hear traffic or any outside sounds. They were pretty well soundproofed. And the doors were also set up with foam rubber panels around inside the frame of the door.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Charles. When the building was constructed across the street, in what was then the insurance building, didn't NBC have a hand in that? Didn't the same contractor or the architect design those studios that designed the one in New York?
Yes, I understand he did.
Yeah.
And if we were in that building, Charles, I know that none of us, at least if it were 1940s, none of us would have been attired like we are now.
Absolutely. No one would be sitting around in tux the way we are tonight. No, as a matter of fact, they had visitors over there to come in off the street, all kinds of visitors off the street. And so the rule was you would dress up in tuxedos if you worked after 7 p.m. And there would be a guide to show you through, and it was fancy.
And I think I remember hearing that they had white tuxedos in the summer and red ones during the winter months.
Yeah, I did not hear about that.
Change of uniforms.
The engineers were turtleneck sweaters or turtleneck shirts with some design over on the side of it, like a lightning bolt or something like that.
So people could actually walk in without security. They could walk in and
listen,
security didn't exist when I came here.
We didn't have security here. As far as security 5 years ago. As a matter of fact, when I started working here 15 years ago, I didn't need a key to get in the building. I would drive into the upper parking deck, park in my place, get on the elevator, come upstairs, go on the air, and it was wide open.
Things have changed.
Things have really changed.
You know, technically now, you said we floated. The new facility, folks, one of the things that strikes out, I haven't had a chance to ask anybody about this, I'll ask on the air. We have these panels on the wall that I assume are for
acoustic.
Right, absorbing sound. But it's not the entire wall space. There's a lot of wall space that is not covered by this panel, and I'm wondering...
You need a mixture between the solid dead sound of no echo or anything and a sort of live sound. And if you get a proper mixture, a presence, it sounds considerably better depending upon the types of microphones you're using and things like this.
And keep in mind, too, that we're in, excuse me for interrupting, Dick, in an age of synthetics where we can do things with just a few inches or maybe even less than that of certain material on the walls and the ceiling and the floor, and deaden and completely shut out outside sounds. Back in the 30s and 40s, that was not available. You had to float it on oil. You had to put in 6 inches of cork.
Is that why? Okay, because you were mentioning something about the carpet we have on the wall.
Well, here we have all the walls are covered with white carpet. The floor has it used to be gray carpet, I think. And this is a pretty dead room acoustically.
Even the tabletop is carpeted.
Yes.
But you don't need all this dead sound, so it should be a little bit of a liver sound there. It sounds a little bit more natural, like you would hear if you were in the room yourself.
And yet, 15 years ago, we had a problem in this particular studio with it being too live.
Yes,
and that's the reason that it was carpeted. And we had acoustic engineers come in from, well, I can't remember where they came in from. I know that the company brought them in, and they had their meters and their gauges and what have you, and we ended up carpeting the walls as opposed to what I think they recommend.
I want to take a break. Go ahead, Dick. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to suggest that the carpet had another alternative, and that was that it also provided something for a frustrated talk show host to ricochet off of during the spot breaks. Without hurting yourself.
In the 3 years that I looked at this carpet, I noticed that it's the cleanest it's ever been. It was beautiful.
Yes.
Actually,
appropriate on our last night.
When we come back, I'm going to ask the question to everybody on the panel here, and I'll start with you, Johnny, and that is, how do you feel about leaving this part of Raleigh to the new part of Raleigh? We're going to take a break. We're going to open up the phone lines a little bit later on. Lots of guests. Our last broadcast from this studio, and then Tom Avery will be doing the very first broadcast from our beautiful Highwoods studio. We'll let you know more about that as we move along. 8:22 is the time. We'll take a break for the 4-day forecast, and we'll be back.
Partly sunny and hazy through the afternoon with scattered showers and thunderstorms on the increase. The high will be in the mid to upper 80s. A few showers tonight, otherwise partly cloudy as temperatures drop into the low 70s. Varying amounts of clouds for Saturday with afternoon showers and thunderstorms likely. Mid to upper 80s again for the high. Partly cloudy Saturday night with some showers, a low in the low 70s. Mostly cloudy Sunday with scattered showers and thunderstorms tapering off on Monday. Sunday's high will be in the mid 80s, low 80s for Monday. With the WPTF 4-day forecast, I'm meteorologist Chris Thompson.
Currently, it's 80 degrees in downtown Raleigh.
It's closer than you think.
Raleigh Ensemble Players fall season opens with the comedy hit The Foreigner.
It's closer than you think.
All performances are in North Raleigh's convenient Sertoma Arts Center, where you sit just a few feet from stage.
It's closer than you think.
The Foreigner was voted the best new play of 1985 and it's opening Raleigh Ensemble Players' best season ever. Call Sertoma Arts Center now to get a free performance with every Raleigh Ensemble Players season ticket.
It's so hot. It's so humid. Can't anyone fix this car's air conditioner? Why, look at little Johnny back there. He's passed out cold. No, he's passed out hot.
Why doesn't Yasha go to Four Brothers in a couple of days and get this car air conditioner fixed? Four Brothers is dependent. Four Brothers is quick.
Can't even roll the windows down.
Easy. It'll be quiet.
I'm going to die if we don't get this fixed.
Four Brothers wants to remind you that leaving your car air conditioner broken during the winter may cause major damages. Get it fixed now. Four Brothers specializes in auto air repair, and they do it right. Four Brothers is located at 4200 Atlantic Avenue across from UPS. And don't forget Four Brothers when you need a quality cellular telephone at the most affordable price. Four Brothers means 4 times the service, 4 times the quality, at a price you can afford.
If you knew about a place where everything is pure excitement, come on home. Because it really is a place you've known about a long, long time. Come on home. North Carolina, we're here for you. Come on home. 128, come on home. Come on home. 128.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm glad that you're here. Our very last program from 410 South Salisbury Street. I guess that's the proper way. Salisbury. I was right the first time. Okay. All right. We moved into this building. It was in December 1967. So we have 20 years to talk about. But to make it a really interesting program, let's really, when we open up the phone lines, go back as far as you like, because I think with the people we have here, the people who'll be calling in, we can reminisce. The 20 years we'll focus in on. Let's go to that question, because we are moving from a location that has been, part of us for a long time. Johnny, how do you feel about moving?
I think it's something that had to be. From a standpoint of parking for guests that we have coming into the station, the employees themselves. Finding places to park. We're more mobile now than we have been in the past. And two, I think there was a time years ago when everything was in downtown Raleigh. Everything. You had the cafeterias, all the office buildings. And now if it's an agency that you're going to visit, if there's someone you're going to talk with and interview, it could be in the Research Triangle Park. It could be South Raleigh down to McGregor Center. It could be up at Highwoods. Indeed, it could be way on up north, up toward Gresham's Lake. So it's a scattered area. I'm not saying that the downtown area is dead. It's not. It's just that since the whole metropolitan area is as spread out as it is, and since we need to spread out, we've been cramped up here since Well, for the last 6 or 7 years, 2 and 3 people to an office is just too close. They don't make a deodorant that good.
That's true.
So to have the room that we need to spread out, you have to get out away from the downtown area.
And I think it says
price of land is just atrocious.
I think it says a lot for this corporation, Durham Life Broadcasting, that we are an organization that is growing. And when we only occupied 1/4 of this building, to have outgrown it in just such a short period of time is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Not only did we add TV, but the first time I came to work for Durham Life Broadcasting was for WPTF FM in late 1971. And actually, at that point, Graham Pointer was still the program director shortly before he retired, and John Todd was the FM program manager. At that point, we really had very little FM programming. We had a lot of simulcast. Mm-hmm. The mornings were always simulcast with AM, and then we had the afternoon program, which was live on FM, which was hosted at that time by the man who's now the executive vice president of this company, Bob Butler.
Really?
And Gary worked at night, and I was part-time on the weekends.
What was the format?
At that time.
What was the format?
Classical music.
Well, classical at night. In the afternoon, we had what was called the Road Show, which was somewhat similar to the music the PTF was playing at the time. And then at night, we had Festival of Music, which Charles always supervised, even in the FM days, picking the classical music.
And talk about the transition to the rock and roll, the QDR. How did that?
That came about, I guess, what was in late
That was that was January 1st, 1973.
I think the last record that WPTF FM played, and I was listening at the time because I was interested in the transformation of the format. I think it was a Patty Page record, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I remembered it differently, but I may be wrong. I thought the switchover was on at 1 minute past midnight on the 26th of December, 1972.
You're right. You're right, Charles.
And
it was.
I think they ended on PTF FM with complete performance of Messiah because it was Christmas night.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 minute later, whammo.
So now let's recycle the old WPTF FM. And they went through some sort of a sound effect, as I recall.
Don't recall that.
And they signed on with the full format of
WQDR Album Rock.
Well, you see, I got the brunt of that the next morning.
What happened?
Well, you see, I had been simulcasting the morning show.
Oh, yeah.
For about a month, hasn't it?
Yeah, I started November 6, 72. And Bill Jackson, my predecessor with the morning show, and I, for that month and a half, or how long it was, simulcast the morning show on PTF FM. Well, the next morning, people's clock radios went off. Those outside, maybe north of town, that had a little bit of trouble picking up the AM signal, they would set their radio on FM, and of course they would be getting the same thing the next morning. Can you imagine the clock radios going off at 5 or 5:15 or 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning to heavy metal rock, and the phones lit up? I mean, it was like a Christmas tree.
I do understand completely. I went through it in reverse. I went to a station and changed format the other way once.
In Chapel Hill, we used to listen to the FM a lot, particularly at night when we were studying, either PTF FM or at that time WKIX FM, because nothing else permeated into Chapel Hill at night. We were in everybody's null. Chapel Hill really wasn't great at the time. CHL was not on the air at night even. They were a daytime station at that time. And so if you wanted to listen to clear radio signal at night, you'd listen to FM.
Johnny mentioned the classical program that we did at night, Festival of Music. When PTF FM went off the air, I'm not sure how many years it carried on, but I know it was into the years when I was back here working full-time in AM. That program switched to Sunday nights on AM.
Grover Proctor was the host.
And then it became a cable program that we originated here.
Is that a fact?
Just on Raleigh Cablevision.
Third Dimension?
Third Dimension. It was
Third Dimension.
classical music, and what was it, 16 hours a day or something? 14 hours a day.
It is interesting. There's a lot of things I'm not, I've only been here, 5 years? That's just a drop in the bucket.
Well, some of us had to queue up those Third Dimension tapes while we were on the air doing other things.
That's the reason I remember it so well.
Breaking loose, and we had to set up those tapes on the automation. They would go for maybe an hour or so, and then you'd have to change the tape.
And if you didn't, someone would always let you know.
We're sitting here doing this show on a station that is an institution. No one can deny that. But, we're also... If you look at the scheme of things around the country, WPTF, an AM station, looking at the ratings, we don't have to be specific, but we outdo where in most markets it's an FM giant that's number one, number two, whatever, we have constantly stayed on top. And yet, you know, we need to say it right on the air. I mean, the ratings show that, but that's rare in this day and age. It's very
we have been static. We've changed a lot over the years.
Yes, we have. And
but not necessarily with staff, which I think is very good, too.
Very good.
You go through any radio station, and most of them, somebody who's been there 2 or 3 years, wow, you're an old-timer around here. But I'm going on a dozen years here, and Johnny's been here
15.
Bart has been here how long?
23.
23, I think.
Gary's been here that same amount of time, too.
That's amazing. That is amazing. What we'll do is we'll take a break now. We're going to have to, let's get one break out of the way. Let's open up the phone lines. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from our old friends, questions you have. We hope J.C. Knowles, who just got out of the hospital, can call in and say hello. Our toll-free number is 1-800-662-7979. And if you're calling in Raleigh, 860-9783. Call in now. Say hello. We have everybody here, Tom Kearney, and we have other guests coming up. Okay, let's check the 4-day forecast.
Variable cloudiness through the...
Plenty of it around. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with instructions. Take advantage of the Journal's great subscription offer. 13 weeks, just $29.75. Only $29.75 for 13 weeks of the Journal. Call toll-free in the continental U.S. 800-441-9900. That's 800-441-9900, except Nebraska. The Wall Street Journal, the daily diary of the American dream.
Welcome back, everybody. We have Tom Kearney filling in for Dick Stork. I had to pack the records because we have a music show tonight, and he is our historian tonight. We have a very special program prepared. We're going to play, and we have messages from Wally Osley and Gary and Maury and Bart and Charles. And by the way, Tony Rigsby's here, and Tom Kearney's filling in for Dick, who just left, Charles Stiegel, program director, and Johnny Hood, farm director. You never had a chance to answer the question.
About moving
yeah, how do you feel about leaving
Yeah.
downtown? I mean, mixed feelings, I'm sure. But
Yeah, mixed feelings, because I've been at this station since 1959, and I worked over at Kicks downtown for a couple of years. So I know all the folks over at Pools and all the folks over at Hudson Valley. I'm going to miss these people, and I see a lot of good things coming downtown with the Civic Center and possibility someday of the arena. And a lot of new things are coming in, but, as Johnny said, we had to do it. We really have outgrown this building, and we're moving to a beautiful facility, which we didn't name for 12 minutes, I noticed, when we came on there, where we're moving. We're moving to Highwoods.
I touched on it.
Yeah, but you got it at the end of the 12th minute.
We have to, I guess, say, I was saving that for probably later on, but Highwoods, that's right. We're proud of that. That's beautiful.
It's out in the trees, and the thing that I'm going to enjoy the most, once in a while I don't get lunch, and I stay here from 8 or 8:30 a.m. until I leave at 4:30 or 5, and I'll go out, and the day is different from when I came in. It might be raining or whatever, and to have a window, that's one of the real blessings of Highwoods, to have a window.
And we're going to have a window in Studio A.
Yes, we are. Something I don't I guess I do understand why they've always built radio stations in the center of buildings.
We talked on that a few minutes ago with the cork and the floating studios.
That's right, to get away from the outside noises.
Glass was not capable of...
No way.
That's right, but now with modern technology, they can actually let the announcer see the outside.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah, that is exciting.
No longer do you sit here and say partly cloudy when it's raining.
The office staff, for most people, are fortunate enough to have a window in each office, and that's a big improvement. We're very happy about that. We're going to go to the phone lines now. Tom, just joining us. You want to say hello before we go to the calls?
Say hello, Tom.
Tony's here. And
hello, Alan.
Okay, anything? Okay, this is pretty exciting. We're moving to Highwoods, and you'll hear the very first broadcast at 11 o'clock tonight. Let's go to our first call. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah.
How are you tonight?
All right. I want to ask you when you first started your radio station, what year?
First, we started in 1924, September 22nd.
1924?
That's right. I don't think you're on the air. I just want to make sure we get on the air. We hear you, but... Yeah. Okay, 1924.
We had a little radio report, had two big batteries in it, and we lived out in the country. And the first commercial I ever heard in my life, this old man Henderson down in Mississippi was selling Hello World coffee for $1 a pound.
in this studio. You're on the air. Hi.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
Fine, thank you. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
You are?
Hey, I wonder who this is.
I hear Charles Stegall talking.
Hello, Paul.
Paul Judson.
Oh.
Can I say something I haven't said in 23 years?
Please go ahead and do a break, Paul.
Paul Judson, WPTF, Raleigh.
Paul, you left out, we protect the family.
And a few others, too, that Pappy taught us how to say.
Yes, absolutely.
How are all you gentlemen tonight?
We're doing fine, Paul. Tell us what you did here.
Yeah, and so I can...
so all the audience will
That's
know.
right, Paul. I know your name. I've heard it, and they speak with you with great respect, but tell me a little about yourself. I wasn't here then.
In all modesty, I was probably the best news director WPTF.
Paul, you have always been so modest, Paul.
No, I was lucky enough to be part of a real tradition, and that tradition included guys like Phil Kirk and Jerry Elliott and Keith Hundley and Robert Hager, who's up at NBC in Washington now, and even a guy named John Todd down in Wendell, who I bet's still around too.
He is indeed.
What are you doing?
I wanted to call tonight. I saw Johnny Hood last night at a dinner in Raleigh, and he told me about this show tonight and asked me to come down, and I told him I'd be at home in Atlanta tonight, and he gave me the number to call in, and I just wanted to call in and say hello and reminisce for a minute and talk about some of the people and how great a place it was and is and will be.
Well, I appreciate that. What are you doing today? What's new in your life?
Well, I've been in the advertising agency business for about 18 years now, and that's what I'm doing here in Atlanta. And quite frankly, we're planning to move back to Raleigh.
Are you really?
Yes.
Your whole agency?
No, just me.
Oh, okay.
Any specific
I'm not going to give any plugs tonight, but Lewis Advertising's got a new manager of their office in Raleigh out on Hillsborough Street.
Oh, great.
Well,
hey, Paul, what were your years here?
Charles, I think it was like 64, 5, 6, somewhere along in there.
Yeah. Those were the good days, too.
I was just trying to remember the lineup. Let me see how many I can think of just right off the top of my head.
Okay.
Bill Jackson, Wally Osley, Charlie Gaddy, Bart Rittner, Bob Farrington, and Reese Edwards and Gary Dornberg.
Quite a crew.
And the engineers, Bob Royal and Alton Tripp, and of course Dennis Martin and his umbrella trick.
Yes, Dennis Martin, a classic.
What was his umbrella trick? I mean, fill us in here. What is it?
Tell us about it, Paul.
Dennis used to get in front of the window in the old studio, and he'd get right to the edge of the glass while you were doing a newscast or something live, and he'd start twirling the umbrella. And he would twirl it out of view behind the wall, and then he would do a pantomime as if someone was dragging him off with the umbrella. He would disappear out all of a sudden.
There's some crazy things that happen. Folks, you just don't know in the radio station, since you don't see what's going on. A lot can happen that you just won't know about unless the announcer lets you know. And that's what happens to keep us happy sometimes. People are crazy. There's always one or two people in the staff that has a sense of humor, goes beyond the norm.
And sometimes you can get maybe 2 or 3 people that by themselves are completely ordinary.
Right.
And you put them together.
The chemistry.
And you get a Paul Judson, Dennis Martin, and Gary Dornberg trio that... were you ever arrested, the 3 of you, Paul?
I'm sorry, but I'll decline.
Wow.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Do you remember, this could turn into the Dennis Martin hour. Do you remember the tape trick? He he recorded a tape for one of the engineers, and what he did on the tape was to imitate somebody talking backwards.
Oh, that's difficult.
Yeah, so what he did, he brought in this tape to this engineer, and the engineer put the tape on, and it went, would y'all do it? Y'all do it? And he told the engineer, I can't seem to straighten out this tape. I've turned it over, and it sounds the same way. So the engineer turned it over, and it went, and so the engineer absolutely could not find out what was wrong with that tape, and it was backwards both ways because Dennis talked backwards on it.
That sounds like one of his specialties.
Paul and Dennis and Gary used to, well, they were on Farrington, they were unmerciful. They used to get...
sign off in the afternoon.
They would get hold of his name, his desk sign that had movable letters on it. and make a new word every morning when Barrington came in. These three had come up, it was kind of a Scrabble game. That and messing him up when he was signing off his program.
And there's one more Dennis Martin story.
All right.
Pulled it on a trick, and I'll not name the person. The person is still here, and the person is still on the air. But this person smoked. Dennis Martin took the seal very carefully off that package of cigarettes, put a little message inside, wrapped it up, put it back in the carton.
And ironed the bottom of it with the cellophane.
Yeah, ironed the bottom of it, sealed it back up, so that it was about a week before the person came across this package. Opened the package, pulled out, what's this, a little message in here? And the message said, help, I'm imprisoned in a cigarette factory.
I wonder if he still smokes Chesterfield.
I'm not sure that he does.
Well,
I'll
listen,
check.
Paul, what do you want to say? He does?
He still does.
Yes. That's one of those brands that you just you don't see too many people smoking. You don't see too many people smoking anyway.
I've got one that I can tell, but I'll have to fill in some of the blank spots because this is a family station. But one night there was a rumor that a staff member disrobed in the large with the lights out, while another staff member was recording his program in the booth, which had a window that looked into the big studio. And this was done in complete darkness and with the help of an accomplice who turned the lights on at the signal and then back off again after just a few seconds. And needless to say, that was quite a breakup.
Absolutely.
Paul, you want to stay with us a while?
Sure.
All right, let's see. We'll switch phones. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. Put him up on this line over here. Paul will be with us, and we'll take some more calls. 860-9783, and we have one line left at 1-800-662-7979. You're on the air.
Hey, Alan.
How are you tonight?
While Paul was talking about these old-timers like Graham and Bob Royal and Elton Tripp, I couldn't help but think of Dick Mason. And then you can't forget the skipper, Henry Hewlett, and Jim Reed, and, the crazy antics of Todd Crane.
Absolutely.
I think Charlie will remember those.
Yes, indeed. Todd was a character.
And then also, don't forget, when you talk about old-timers, if I remember correctly, Henry used to say it was little Bobby Butler that was working while he was in high school.
Little Bobby Butler.
As a DJ on WPTF. I'll hang up and listen to y'all. It's been fun.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye. 860-9783. We got one line open. This is a fun night. This is nice. We don't do this too often. Very, very rare do we get these people together, especially in this studio. And this will be the very last broadcast in this studio. Hi, you're on WPTF. You're on the air. Hello, it's your turn.
Hi, this is Paul again.
Oh,
Paul.
Oh, that's very strange. How did that work out? Okay, Paul, Paul, you're with us, but there's another...
The wonders of modern...
No, Paul, you're with us too, but you never left us. We were hoping another person's supposed to join us. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead, speak up, sir. It's your turn.
You are on with me.
That's okay. Shut your radio off.
Okay, I've got it on.
Okay.
I had a telephone booth. That's the reason I was away from the phone. Y'all took a break about 10, 15 minutes ago. I thought maybe I'd add this. And I got up from the restaurant I was eating at, took my earphones off, went up to the counter to get some more tea and water. Gentleman steps up before me, gets his wife some decaf coffee and tea. And I wasn't even looking at the man, knew by his voice, looked up at him, and sure enough, it was one of your former compatriots, Lou Bellow.
Hey.
Chance to tell him what y'all were doing. He's out listening to you on the radio right now.
Hello, Lou.
Hi, Lou. I know Tony was...
What a referee.
And I think probably tonight Tom will play Tony Bennett's I Left My Heart in San Francisco for Lou, because that's his favorite song.
It is indeed.
Hi, Lou. I never met you, Lou, but every time I hear you on the radio,
you really are.
I hear
Lou
him.
is unique.
I hear him on the radio, and I laugh. And actually, I did meet you, Lou. That's right. I did have the pleasure of meeting you one time.
If you ever want to find out about meeting Lou Bellow, and I'm not going to really tell this on the air, ask Lowell Shoemaker someday about meeting Lou Bellow.
He's a great guy. Colorful.
Enjoy your show, and I've listened for quite a while now.
Well, I appreciate that. Hi, you're on WPTF.
Hello, Alan.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm enjoying your program, but you forgot to mention Hap Hansen.
Hap Hansen.
I'm sure we'd have been happy.
We would have gotten to it.
But as a matter of fact, we have special messages from other people we haven't got. Believe me.
He's deceased, you know.
Yes, I know.
But I used to love to hear him on Route 68 from 12 o'clock midnight till 5 in the morning.
You got it.
Everyone mentions that show. Who
and
tell
he
me
used
about it?
he used to play that song a lot, the Talking Outhouse.
Yeah.
I've not heard that since he left.
If you had a chance to listen to the Early Bird Hour a couple of weeks ago, Johnny played How Great Thou Art that Hap recorded years ago.
Sure did.
And remember when Bart Rittner was the Birdman?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, what did he do as the bird?
Still is.
It was a talk show.
Still is.
He would call in and describe different birds, and he would tell them what kind they were.
There were even membership cards in the WPTF Birdwatching Society.
Isn't that interesting?
And what was amazing, that show was on from 3:05 to 3:30, and when Bart went on that show on a Monday, and he knew absolutely nothing about birds.
But it didn't take him long to learn.
I know.
He come down here to Broadway to the Women's Club and gave us a talk.
Yes, he did.
About birds.
He's a fast learner.
Yes, sir. He come down here. We enjoyed him. But I just want to tell you that I'm an old, faithful listener.
Well, we really appreciate that.
Okay. And good luck to all of you in your new house. And there's only one thing I don't like.
What's
You
that?
won't let sticks in the new building.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, okay. and good luck in your new building.
See, I think that's a good rule. I really do think it's a good rule because it's a beautiful, beautiful building. And you know, the thunderstorm season's over. There's no reason to bring her.
Don't spill no champagne on the new road.
No.
And the problem is sticks smoked, and we're not smoking in the studio. You see.
Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Bye, Alberta.
Bye-bye.
Johnny,
I was going to ask Paul. I was going to ask Paul if he was here when Bart was doing the bird show.
Yes, I was, and I was just thinking of another Dennis Martin gag that
Dennis, I hope you're listening.
with his answering machine when we tape recorded his message and fed it back in, and he thought his machine was busted, and he took it in to get it repaired.
That's neat.
A lot of the folks who are listening are trying to really, we have a lot of listeners in the last 6, 7 years, just all the people moving into the Triangle. And PTF is a new station.
Yes.
And there's a lot of newcomers, too. So when we, if you have a memory that only goes back 3 or 4 years, bring those up, too. We don't have to go back to ancient history. We've been here a long time. Tony, anything you want to add? I keep feeling like I'm leaving you out for a second.
You're not leaving me out.
Let's take another call. You're on WPTF.
Hi there.
How are you?
I tell you, I'm doing great. I had no idea you were doing this in about 15, 20 minutes ago. I tell you, I don't remember the guy, but that Dennis Martin sounds like a real great.
We're going to have to get Dennis up here some night.
I was just
After
curious.
we leave.
I know PTF is switching over to the new studios tonight. When is your sister station? Is it going to switch over tonight also?
No, WQDR is switching over Sunday night at midnight.
Right, okay. Will we notice any difference in the quality of, or like when you switch over, will there be any difference at all in how you sound, or do you have any idea?
This would probably be more for Dick, but who would want to give a stab? I don't know the answer to that.
I would think probably
Dick's coming in.
The first thing that a listener might notice would be on the talk shows because of the innovative telephone system that we have installed.
Totally new phone system.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful new system.
It's all completely automated. It's all internal. We're not using telephones as we know telephones because it's all built into the broadcast area. So I suspect that is going to be one difference that you may notice. As far as the sound goes, except for the goofs until we learn how to operate that new board, I don't think so.
Here's Dick Stork. Let's get his answer on this.
Well, we were talking about that telephone system, and it's even going to be better for the callers.
Right.
Because you have, on numerous occasions, answered a telephone and said, hello, you're on the air, and the people do not respond because they don't think that it's them in the line.
Exactly.
But this is going to have a beep on it, and when it's your turn, you'll hear beep, hello, you're on the air, and you are on the air.
Right, okay, well...
And also you'll be able to hear the talk show host and the studio people because it'll be directly out of our new audio console. We'll be not talking to you over a speakerphone.
See, right now we're using a high-end, expensive speakerphone that's available from the phone company, but that's about
Oh, yeah.
Anybody can get these.
The new system, you'll be able to hear us when you call us directly over our microphones that are actually being on the air, and that'll be much better. And also we can handle 2 calls, as you have set up here now, with the fellow in Atlanta and the other people calling in. Well, this will all be handled automatically, and they'll be merged in together. You can mix them back and forth.
And the volume controls can be, if the guest in California needs a little more volume, we can adjust the volume.
And another little feature is what we call ducking. Ducking is that the talk show host, if he wants to, can dominate the conversation, or you can let the other caller come back up or something. Rather, if the talk show host keeps on talking, the other caller that calls in cannot be heard, or you can adjust it so that the caller can be heard.
Right, so you can have an all-out fight if you want.
Oh, yeah, that's very interesting, and I can tell that you're running on the speakerphone now because it's voice activated. But one more question. Have you thought about, during tonight's show, playing back some old excerpts of some of the great people like Bill Jackson and when Wally Osley was on the at the station before his retirement? Have you ever...
Would you like to let me tell you where all this is? It's down in the bottom of pile 3 in room 2015 at Highwoods in a big, deep box.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And the neat thing is that in digging through what I call the record vault, which is where I stored all the music when I did the record vault show and all the other station music, I'm sort of, the guy that keeps it in my mind. It's not really categorized anymore. But I came across several interesting 16-inch electrical transcriptions. Dating as far back as 1946, and I understand that Archives and History has some that date even further back on WPTF, and we have some original news conferences by some of the governors and things like that. So,
I tell you, I
this
really
is up and
love
coming,
hearing...
and I think Mr. Kearney could address that a little bit better.
Well, I was just going to say, Dick, we don't have much of these people, but we have a tape that we're going to play a little bit later that has a few snippets of voices, so you'll hear something that you've heard before.
We got something from 1974 and the 50th anniversary, I think, don't we, Tom, that we're going to be using.
I tell you what, it's amazing to hear these people now and how they really have not changed over the years. I was listening a long time back to Wally Osley, when he used to be on the morning show with Bill Jackson. His voice, except for maybe a little bit deeper tone, is basically the same as it was. That's what I've always enjoyed about radio personalities, is they seem to change so little.
If you listened last Saturday to our football tailgate show, we had some tape from 1967, Bill Jackson and Wally Osley doing a state football game.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. Wally sounded...
I heard that.
Exactly the same, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll let you we'll get on with your show, and I'll be looking forward to hearing those little clippings later on.
Yeah, we do have some specially prepared stuff, and more guests coming up. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
And, Alan, I think at that time, hearing last week the voice of Bill Jackson, I know Johnny has extremely fond memories of Bill Jackson because he's the man who brought you here.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, great man.
He's the man that hired me.
Great man. Yeah, you remember those people.
Mm-hmm. And after the break and after the news, I'll tell you something that happened to me concerning 16-inch transcriptions.
Which is a fascinating discussion because I always wondered about those things, when they were used and why they were used. Now, Tony, you have to leave, don't you? This is
I better go because I've got to come back tomorrow morning real early and get the football show ready.
That's right. So with a minute and a half we have here, anything you'd like to say to the audience?
I'm going to really miss this building. This has been a fantastic building downtown. So many memories of the greats like Bill Jackson who worked in this building over the last 20 years. The years that I really formed my love for radio were the first years in WPTF's building here, listening to them. So Bill Jackson and Bob Farrington, Bart Rittner, Wayne Ennis, Ken Smith, those guys who were around at that time. And I think we heard all the stories about Dennis Martin. Charles, I wonder if it was Dennis Martin or if it was really Gary Dornberg, because so many people who worked with Gary at night had the same stories. I know when I first worked here in FM, Ken Smith and Gary were constantly having something going all the time, Todd Crane and Gary. So I wonder if Gary is not the real culprit behind all of this.
And you mean Dennis might be innocent?
That's right.
No
it could
way.
be Gary.
Wow.
And Gary was Dennis' understudy for a while, and then he took over when Dennis left.
I think you're right, Paul.
I think so, too.
All right, Paul, you want to hang on with us for a while?
I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll be looking forward to coming into the new facility and saying hello to everybody face to face and be really looking forward to moving back to the great city of
Paul, looking forward to meeting. Thanks for calling.
Hurry back to Raleigh.
Bye-bye.
All right, and good luck to everyone.
Johnny Hood's going to stay with us a little while longer.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
sure.
great. Charles Stigl will be here. And Tony, thanks for staying with us. I know you
It's
had a
been
long
my
day.
pleasure, Alan.
Okay, now we have Tom Kearney coming up, Mario Odell, Bart Rittner, Wally and Gary, and Brian McIntyre. J.C. Knowles will be calling in, hopefully. I know he's a little under the weather. He's just got out of the hospital. We hope he's doing fine. We have news coming up from the network and from our own news department. And then we're going to reminisce and talk about the future, because this company, believe it or not, has a lot of plans. And we want to tell you about that. It's 9 o'clock from WPTF.
It's a moving experience. Listen tonight from 8 until 11 on WPTF, AM Stereo 680, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill.
Democrats easily outnumbered Republicans at a forum on education in Chapel Hill today. Details on the story and more, plus network news on the hour. It's 9 o'clock.
ABC News, I'm Catherine Cowdery. John Paul is the first pope to ever visit this country's